I'm not going to say I'm a Trump supporter. I don't really support anybody, but I'm not a Trump hater like everybody else. I don't think Trump is doing as bad a job as everyone else think he is. Well, each candidate, I'm referring to Biden and Trump in particular, offer a different platform, based on different issues. President Trump is literally trying to do all this stuff for Black America. He literally talked to Ice Cube about getting a reparation plan. It's called the Platinum Plan. At least know what the person you were voting for is all about. What policies they're trying to pass and stuff. Because lately, if you look at social media and stuff, they're just telling people to vote. But that's all they're doing. They're not educating people on who to vote or what they are voting for. They're just telling people to vote. If you're just telling people to vote, somebody can easily get you to vote for something you don't even agree with. To me, how I feel on certain issues, I then take what I know and I apply to my vote and which candidate I think will provide the best, preferred outcome for those issues that I find important. Well, I hope Biden wins. I think that will be, in terms of my community, I'm speaking very broadly, just like America. I think kind of resetting that dynamic would be good. And the media often, has to cover the president fairly. And most presidents often get annoyed at the media all the time. But not in the way that this president has. Well, the press has been attacked a lot by this administration. If someone has a health condition and, maybe, God forbid, a loved one die and they see the administration is at fault for that, perhaps that will influence their vote. Majority of people voting right now don't even know who they're voting for. And two, they don't know anything about politics. So I'm like, if you don't know what you're voting for, why are your first reason is to get Trump out of the White House? We desperately need to do it. I'm voting because, it's my constitutional right, and I, I should, we should be proud to exercise that right. Well, the current system that is set up, your vote don't really matter. Unfortunately, I feel like anybody but Trump should be president. That's why I'm not voting. I don't agree with either of them. I don't want there to be a president. It's ridiculous not to participate in our government. Voting is a very small but important way that we can. So I think everybody should be registered and everybody should vote. Complain about the current situation of this country when you have an opportunity to change but do nothing about it. Don't feel confident in either of them to vote for. You're an adult now. You have this to do. You have this right. You have this power. You get to do to make your voice heard. It's I think it's our responsibility as citizens of this country. And it's also a right and a privilege. So many countries don't have it. I honestly don't know. In the last election, I did not like Hillary, but I did not think Trump was going to win. I really hope Biden wins. I don't like them, but for the most part, he's going to tell you what is, and I respect that. Even if it's not in my community or my favorite personally, he's going to tell me what is. I don't want somebody that's going to lie to me and then you got to combat the lies. If he's telling you the truth, even if it's evil, at least you know how to make a plan to combat that. But if somebody's lying to you, acting like they're your friend, and they're really not, which is the Democratic Party, people are just mortified by his behavior and the thing he's done. It's embarrassing. It's criminal. And disgusting, and on and on and on. Yeah, I've learned that. Trump, I mean, like I said, you can hate Trump, I don't really care. He could be a better guy. I don't have any feelings. I'm not really involved or in tune with politics. I'll vote for anybody but Biden. I just don't like the Democrats. I feel like the Biden presidency is just going to be him cleaning after Trump instead of actually doing good. I just want to say first, I don't agree with mail-in voting. I honestly prefer it to be in person. How many times have you lost something through the mail or something got lost in the mail? So it's like, I don't like the idea of my vote getting lost in the mail. Yeah, maybe it's only been 3 or 4 times out of the year. But you got to think, 3 to 4% of votes, of millions of votes, that's a lot of people. To add, it is less motivating. To go in person, it's a moment you can document and remember when and where the first time you voted was. In terms of actually casting my ballot, I don't think it has that much of an impact. Like, I'm still going to vote one or another because it's that important to me. Like, it's not going to stop me from voting. I also think it's going to be a really big headache in terms of the absentee ballot and the counting of the ballot, and with just Trump delays and Trump trying to invalidate the election. Remember my first presidential election? I voted in as an absentee ballot and I was away at college. And I had to do it in front of the register or something. And she was like, you obviously have no idea what you're. People will somehow use their power to get vote lost in the mail. Well, I think a lot of people are going to put their mask on and go to the polls. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the polls on election day and vote. I hope to be confident. I think there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on, especially in some of the southern states. I don't want to wait in line for 5 hours to vote for either of the candidates, even though I do prefer one over the other. There's always room for improvement when it comes to everything. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm supporting a lot of people who are anxious, even more anxious because of the pandemic, and triple anxious because this jerk, I'm going to be very nice, this jerk in the White House. Being away from friends, being in, remote school, just our life has changed drastically. And I think that adding on to getting a new president or, maybe not, that anxiety, that's prevalent for another month. Like, what's gonna happen, right? It's just another big thing that could change our lives even more. We need to prepare for worst case scenario, which will be if he was reelected. People will be scared and am I gonna have health care? Or is my tax going to be increased? There is anxiety around that. I have the responsibility to support them, my patients. Can maybe Trump get reelected? I think he'll lose a lot in the popular vote, and in terms of the electoral college, it'll be a little cloudier. But I think he'll probably still lose if I was betting money. I just don't want Trump to win again. Personally, I think and I hope Trump is gonna win. A lot of people think he's gonna win by a lot. I don't think he's gonna win by a lot, but I think he's gonna win. Just because people are starting to realize how bad a candidate Joe Biden is. And it's do you really want Kamala Harris to be vice president? She out here acting like she blind. If Trump wins, it's just going to be a whole bunch of problems and treaty wars for the next 4 years. Based on polling, President Trump is not doing very well. And obviously, polling is not completely predictive. In many past presidential elections, the person who won the popular vote didn't win the actual election. Regardless of who wins, you're just gonna see a lot of people upset. I think, people are gonna take to the street again. You're gonna see, I think you're gonna see people, protesting, and whatnot. We've had to wait weeks and weeks before we know the outcome, which is upsetting. It's just so unpredictable. I'm cautiously optimistic. The overarching feeling is probably anxiety. But my community of friends and people that I know, and really just about all my clients, will be very celebratory when he loses. Out of everyone that votes, whatever the result are, that's what we have to live with. Let's say that it seems like Trump lost, but he challenged the outcome of the election. I'm feeling confident that we can get him out of the White House. I think it's gonna be a big deal to literally, physically get him out of the White House. I think that that will have a very negative impact because we've had, every election we've had people transition to power peacefully. So not to have that is really frightening and sort of challenging the norm and making us feel like our democracy isn't as strong as maybe we thought it was.